Okay. Mhm. All right. Give me a second and we'll get going. Just gotta take care of some. All right. Well, guess that I was supposed to have apparently has the flu. So, yeah. Give me 1 second. All right. And we are live. Hmm. Coffee. I also don't have my ring light. I've also monetized the stream, so every 30 minutes there will be a quick commercial break. Because why not? I might as well. I mean, I made affiliate 6 years ago, so I might as well use some of the benefits. It's not like anyone watches this anyways. Now, today, we have a very special cigar. This is an Asylum 13. This is an 80 ring gauge cigar. This thing is massive. It is huge. It's comically large, which I love. Yeah. But it is a massive cigar and it weighs like a quarter of a pound. It's huge. Plus, I have gotten back into leatherwork and I have made this little pipe stand where your pipe would sit like that, or your cigar. And a comedically large cigar kind of fits on it. This is a barber pole for obvious reasons why it's called a barber pole. Maduro, Candela. Candelas are green. Candelas usually have a light herbal flavor to them. Asylum makes really good sticks. Just this one's massive and it's a little frightening. I'm a little intimidated. Just a little intimidated by this giant honker of a fucking cigar. It's almost comedic. It really is fucking comedic. Okay. Oh. Yeah, this is a giant freaking cigar. But as always, we're going to toast the foot. This is a clean foot because it's cleanly cut. And then we will light it proper. Why do we toast it? Because it opens up the flavors, gets it going. You know, it really does help improve the cigar. You don't have to burn it, just toast it. Get a little bit of the char going, get a little bit of the smoke going. As you can see, there's a little smoke coming off of it. As you see, a little smoke. And then we go to light it proper. Always rotate your sticks. Tastes good, but it's not fully lit. There we go. Now we're lit. Kind of reminds me of that scene in Cheech and Chong where Chong hands Cheech this giant joint. That's what it reminds me of. And speaking of movies, since our guest canceled, we were going to talk about cigars, obviously, hence the show. But they're the GM of a cigar shop, and then we're going to talk about the intricacies of that. Since they're not here, I kind of want to talk about movies now. I fully believe that Alien and Aliens, the second one, they should have stopped there. It's the hero's journey. Mm. Mm-mm-mm. Coffee's good. So the shop I'm at, they have coffee, and it's black and hot and bitter, like one of my ex girlfriends. Hot, bitter. Mm. Kind of hard to draw because it's so large. It's very hard to draw from. Oh, but no, medically large cigar, but it's actually good. Yeah, it's an 8 by 80 ring gauge, massive fucking cigar, giant, but it's good. We'll see how it tastes as it goes through. I'm excited for the new Ghostbusters. I hope they bring back Vigo. That would be fun. Oh man. Well, we had a guest, and I had brought the fitted sheet for them to fold because, the challenge. But unfortunately, they're sick. Maybe they'll be on next week. Maybe they'll be on the week after. Who knows? Now, I know the weekend after Thanksgiving, I'm going to be filming in a different location. I don't know if I'm going to be there till the 28th or the 8th, but I'll be filming there. But it's all good. Life goes on. They're sick, and I'm sorry they're sick, but such is life. Oh man. What else? What else? What else? What else is going on in the world? Um, shit, I can't remember. Sorry, I got some text to the person who will be house sitting for. Oh, sorry, I had to ask how long they're going to be on because I don't remember if they're going to be gone until the 28th or the 8th of December. And I need to know so I can move my dialysis appointments to a clinic up there temporarily. I don't want to have to drive an hour each way for dialysis. That's not fun. That's definitely not fun. Dialysis sucks, but let's not get into that. And as for always, I have to feed my caffeine addiction. Dad kids bought me a bunch of these. Excuse me. And I've said it before. They're okay. The orange dreamsicle by Rain is okay, but it's not as good as the monster. Also, Rain one is clear, so obviously it's missing flavors of artificial color. Oh, okay. They're going to be gone till the third. Yeah. Okay, that is obnoxiously large. And I know what my girlfriend complained about. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that out loud. But yeah, so podcast. What do we want to talk about today? Well, I had a conversation with a friend outside the shop. I'm waiting for guests to show up who didn't tell me they had to cancel. Um, Alien was by far one of the greatest horror thriller movies. It used pure anticipation and suspense to build up to an anticipation and to the crescendo of terror. It was wonderful and I loved it. Aliens 2, Aliens, where Ridley Scott goes and goes from being a selfish survivor to a hero because of the character Newt, was also a wonderful movie. It it went from Ripley becoming a scared, timid survivor to becoming something more. She went from being selfish to being selfless, all to save that one little girl, Newt. And it completes the hero's journey. Like my buddy out there said, it completes the hero's journey. It does. And they should have stopped there. Although, to be fair, I have a guilty pleasure of liking the other movies. I like them in the same way that, well, almost the same way, but not exactly in the same way that I like Ice Pirates. Like, like, how do I put it? How do I put it? Ice Pirates is one of my favorite sci-fi space films with a hint of swashbuckling, in the same way that Kroll is my favorite high fantasy sci-fi movie with bad fucking technology. I have such a guilty pleasure for both of those movies. I love both of those movies so much that there is no comparison to those movies. Like, let's be honest, Ice Pirates is the distant future where water is so rare it's shipped across the universe via ice. And there's a planet of ice that everyone's trying to look for. And it's oh my god, there's so much crazy shit that happens in Ice Pirates that it's just insane. Oh, excuse me for 1 second. Wednesday. Hey, I'm getting paid to watch a house while still being able to do my job. All's good in my world. It is. But I digress. I digress. I'm getting distracted. Ice Pirates. Oh my god. If you have not seen Ice Pirates, you really should watch it. It's a terrible movie. Terrible. But it's fucking amazing. Like Kroll had such a high class lineup, except for the lead actor. I can't remember his name. Like Kroll had Liam Nielsen. It's one of his first movie appearances, and it is such a good movie in all the best ways because of how fucking terrible it is. It's just amazing. Okay, they're gonna be gone for a week. I mean, like like the bad guys have staffs that shoot lasers that flip 180 degrees to reload to fire again. That's the magic of Kroll. The magic of Ice Pirates is that it's space pirates with sabers and lasers and a robot. And at one point, they break into a spaceship through the bathroom, catch an alien on the pot taking a poop, knock him out, and then go on about their day. I mean, it's insane. They travel through a part of the universe where suddenly time dilates and speeds up and slows down, and they age at different rates, and it's just funny. It really is just fucking hilarious. In all the best fucking ways. Like, I wish I could show y'all clips of it, but I don't want to get in trouble and I don't want to have to review it, blah, blah, blah. But Ice Pirates is such an amazing. If you haven't seen it, you need to watch it. I'm probably going to watch it later tonight when I get home. Yeah, it's good. Oh, man. That is actually really good. Mellow, though. Very mellow in flavor. But no. So, hopefully, I'm going to start streaming me doing weather. And that'll be on a separate day. Won't be on Sunday. Sundays are our days. Sundays are where we hang out. It's where I decompress and talk about Ice Pirates, the movie I can't shut the fuck up about. Like, the absurdity of the movie is at one point, the ship gets space herpes. Yeah, I'm not kidding. At one point, in Ice Pirates, the ship gets space herpes, and it's fucking hilarious because of the dialogue it opens up between two characters. Oh man, it is fucking golden. Like when did Ice Pirates come out? Oh man, not Ika. Nice. Like 1984, according to Wiki, is when it came out. And I will show you some of the images of Ice Pirates because it's got Craig. You know what? Fuck. We'll look it up online. Let's see if we can find it online. Right? Let's see. Ice Pirates cast plot images. I hope y'all can see this. Let's minimize you. Drag you over. Minimize you. Drag you like that. Oh, y'all can't see it. That's terrible. That's tragic. That's a shame. That's irritating. I wish y'all could see this. Oh, put you there. Put you there. Boom. perfect. Except I can't see chat, but that's fine. I will. I can't see y'all if y'all are talking. Of course, I doubt anyone's watching, so it doesn't matter. And we got like 8, 9 minutes for a commercial break. I mean, it is. Ice Pirates is one of my favorite movies. All right, like, give me a second, and I will tell you everything I know about this movie because it is such an amazing movie. It is so fucking bad in all the best fucking ways. Is this movie bad? Like, okay, the main character is named Jason. Okay, in the distant future, water is so scarce and rationed that it's become considered immensely valuable, worth more than gold, right? Why is my phone on? Turn off. So it's just a comedic science fiction movie from like '84. Stuart Raffles in it, with the writer. It was directed by Stuart Raffle, who Kroll, which is probably why I love it so much. And Stanford Sherman. It stars Robert Urich, Mary Crosby, yes, that Crosby, Michael D. Roberts, and other notable actors. Uh, Houston, Ron Perlman's in it. Yes, Ron Perlman, Bruce Valenci, John Cardney, John Nazaki. But Ron Perlman is Nice Pirates, which I think is hilarious. All right. So, in the distant future, water is so fucking scarce that it's rationed and it's immensely valuable. It's like worth more than anything else in the universe. People will fight, die for water, right? So, in fact, it serves both as a commodity and as a currency in the form of ice cubes. I know, go figure, right? The Templars of Mithra control the water, and they destroy worlds that have natural water, leaving the galaxy perfectly dry. Pirates dedicate their lives to raiding ships and looting ice from them to make a living because, it's so fucking valuable. How else are they going to make fucking money other than, stealing fucking ice from the Templars? So the main character, Jason, right, who was Robert Urich character, he's leader of a band of pirates that raid a Templar cruiser for its ice, discover a beautiful princess named, I think, Karina, and uh, that's who Mary Crosby plays, Karina, or Karina or Katerina, I can't remember. And in a stasis pod, he kidnaps her, wakes her up, and alarms the Templars the whole process. Jason and the pirates, they flee, right? They get out of there, they book it, but are pursued by Templars, obviously. Like, hey, you stole our money and our woman. We gonna come get you, right? Jason lets some of his crew, like, I can't remember the name of the two characters, with escape, but he sticks around with another character named Roscoe. Him and Roscoe get captured, and it is insane what happens, right? After they're captured, they meet Killjoy on their way to be slaves and be reassigned, redesignated, redesigned, redesigned. They turn them into eunuchs, but it's hard to explain because while they're shuffled into the processing facility to get redesigned. Killjoy, who they were just with, walks by in like a stolen priest habit and is spared just in case because he's a priest, just in case. However, he and his buddy Roscoe are spared because the princess sets it up, right? So they're not redesigned. She keeps them intact. And they're eventually taken to a slave market where they're sold to Princess Katerina, whatever her name was. So they're sold to her. She buys them. And they're on their way to becoming slaves. They'll be redesigned, where, redesigned is castrated and lobotomized. And so they're reunited with Killjoy, which is funny, who is disguised as a robot. Like he killed a robot and put the robot on. Just put on the robot. Go figure. And they're being forced to work as servants at this big party. That evening, they're reunited with Killjoy and Perkina's servant Nanny, who is a robot butler, which is, again, it's funny. This came out in the time period when Spaceballs, Dark Star, all the Star Wars knockoffs started coming out in all the best ways. All right. And I just remember at this party that they're working as servants at, some of the patrons are getting high, like literally getting high. Like they do this drug and it floats them up to the ceiling, so they get high. Well, there's some happenstance. They dip out with Karina before the Supreme Commodore of the planet or commander can arrest them and her. Hence why she was in the pod. They were going to arrest her for whatever reason. Well, she hires Jason to find her dad. So, they need to find him for plot reasons I'll explain in a second. She hires them to go help her find his father, who disappeared while looking for, I think, something called the Seventh World, which is this lost, mythical planet rumored to have been covered in water, vast reserves of water. The existence of such a world would threaten the Templars' water monopoly, and therefore their power. The Supreme Commander of the Templars orders, his guys to go after her and to locate the Seventh World. At some point, Jason keeps a secret that a nasty creature is hidden on their spaceship. Later, they're about to eat turkey when the creature bursts out and runs away, ripping on aliens. On the next planet, Jason and Roscoe reunite, and that's when they tell her the ship has space herpes, and she gets upset, and it's funny. So they keep going and they keep looking. It's just they end up going to a desert world where shit goes sideways, and they meet up with an old mystic who lives in a fucking trailer, like a travel trailer. Yeah, a travel trailer with a lot of flamingos and all of. And you have to take, they learn from this guy that they have to approach the seventh planet from a very specific course because the time distortion field will fucking kill them if they don't. Right? Any ship that enters that distortion field and doesn't take the very specific safe route gets lost in there forever. There's no way out. They're screwed, right? And it's not like everything that goes in just stops aging or ages exponentially. No, no, they go forward, back, up, down, left, right, all through different time, right? So they enter the distortion field, and the Templar attack, and the robots come on board, and they get boarded, and there's this swashbuckling fight where they become old men, young men, skeletons, not skeletons anymore, children, adults, and eventually they defeat the bad guys, right? And there's this big, swelling, romantic tryst just before entering the time distortion field. And when they exit the field, everyone age regresses to what they originally were. leaving Jason and the princess with the knowledge that they're gonna have a kid because hey, they went forward and backwards in time. They were both grandparents and not grandparents. It was weird. And the funny part is they call it the seventh planet. Pretty sure they call it the seventh planet. I could probably look it up. But when they approach the seventh planet, they leave the field. They learn they're gonna have a kid. Uh the Templars get lost, and they're lost in time forever. But what's funny, well, not funny, it's kind of a weird pun. Not even a weird pun. The seventh world they approach is revealed to be Earth. And I know this is a terrible synopsis. You could probably read a better synopsis than what I just babbled. Because, like I said, we were supposed to have a guest today. But I'm flying off the cuff and doing this by the seat of my pants. You know? Okay, we should be back from commercial. We should be back from commercial. Hopefully, hopefully. Hopefully, we are back from commercial. If not, I'm going to be very, very disappointed in myself if we are not back from commercial. And here's the other thing. Like I said, the guy who co-wrote Kroll, was in charge of Vice Pirates. Kroll came out the year before in '83, the year I was born. And I love Kroll. It is such a stupid fucking. And it's a science fantasy. It's not even really like science fiction because there's not a lot of sci-fi. It's a lot of fantasy, a lot of high adventure. Like my buddy Vince out there said when we were talking about earlier, it's like a D&D party. You got the fighter, you got the wizard, you got a rogue, you have a barbarian, you got Cyclops. Hell, you even have a bard. And no, they don't roll to seduce the dragon. No, no, no. That bard actually came in very, very handy in their quest. Right? I believe it was directed by Peter Yates. Kroll. I think Kroll was directed by Peter Yates, and I could be wrong. I know it was written by Stanford Sherman, and I don't remember who produced it. I know Ken Marshall is in it as the as the lead character, and Ken Marshall, his acting's kind of, but it's also got Leslie Anthony, Fred Jones, Francis Anise. I mean, it's got some really big talents for the '80s. Like Liam Neeson's in it. First fucking one of his first roles ever, right? So it starts off with a narrator, right? And he's telling you about this prophecy that a king and a queen who will rule the world and that their son will rule the galaxy. Yeah, it's one of those. The planet Kroll is invaded by an entity known as the Beast. I think it was the Beast. Yeah, yeah. It was. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was the Beast. The planet's invaded by this bad guy called the Beast and his army called the Slayers. And they travel the galaxy in a mountain-like spaceship called the Black Fortress. I'll let you guess why it's called the Black Fortress. Yeah, it's a big fortress and it's black. Go figure. But it's a spaceship. I know. So like Princess Colwyn and Princess uh, Lisa, I think. Yeah, Lisa. Um, they're plan they plan to get married in the hope that their two kingdoms combined can defeat the beast army. However, he got other plans. He has other plans because he sends the Slayers to attack before the wedding is complete, devastating both armies, wounding the prince, kidnapping the princess. It's got all the good shit, you know. No, they kidnap the princess. They wound him. They kill a bunch of their of the soldiers for both kingdoms' armies. I mean, it's an insanely large fucking battle. Okay, so the prince is nursed back to health by this character called the Old One. I don't remember what their character name was, but they're called the Old One. That I remember. And they tell Colin that the beast can be defeated with the glaive, an ancient magical five-pointed weapon. It's like the dumbest looking mall ninja star ever. I swear to Christ, it is the dumbest looking mall ninja weapon ever. And I guarantee there are people out there who are like, it's a glaive. No, that's not what a glaive is. But good try. Hollywood made an effort, but it's this five-pointed fucking weapon that looks kind of like a really messed up throwing star, but the blades come in and out. They swing in and out. So Colin retrieves the glaive from like a mountain cave, right? He gets it from this cave. Oh man, how do I put it? He retrieves it from a cave and sets up for the Black Fortress, which teleports to a new location every day at sunrise. At sunrise to a new location. Right? As him and his crew travel, him and the old man, they're joined by the magician, the wizard Ergo, the Magnificent, and a band of nine thieves and fighters who I can't remember all their names. I know there was like Torquil, Keegan, Mino, and Daro. I can't remember the other ones. And the Cyclops. Ooh, the Cyclops. Rel later joins them in the swamp. The group travels into the home of the Emerald Seer and his apprentice, who I think their name was Twitch or Titch, Twitch or Stitch. I don't remember. And they have to talk to the Emerald Seer, who has this crystal that can view where the fortress where the fortress will go to next. Because it teleports every day at sunrise. But the beast remotely curses the crystal with magic, so they end up traveling to a swamp where the beast magic can't penetrate. Magic swamps, nothing can fuck with it. Good for them. But Daro, one of the characters, is lost in Slayer attack. And I think one of the fighters dies to quicksand. A changeling agent of the beast kills the Emerald Seer and assumes his form. And then they find him and they kill him. After Beast to seduce Colton, I don't remember. At some point, he tries to seduce the prince. Because the princess, Lisa, is watching. So it's like, hey, look, your dude, yeah, he's out cheating on you. But Colwyn's like, nope, not having any of it. Wants nothing to do with it. Doesn't fall for the seduction. So because he doesn't fall for it and he rejects the changeling's advances, Lisa, who's witnessing this through, a vision that the beast is providing, affirms that their love triumphs over might. Like, hey, our love is solid. Like, I got you. Right? That it's going to prevail over the beast and his forces. And the beast gets all pissed off about this, so he forces her to marry him so that so that he'll stop the attacks if she marries. Really? Yeah, he goes there. One of the I think the Cyclops. No, Cyclops doesn't die yet. They end up in the Widow of the Web, which is this giant enchantress who loved Euro like a long time ago and was exiled to like the layer of the crystals of like the crystal spider. I don't remember because she, you know, did the she killed their kid. So it's like, get the fuck out. You killed our kid. Get out. No, leave. Ever come back, right? So the widow reveals where the Black Fortress will be. She also gives one of the characters an enchanted hourglass to keep the crystal spider at bay because it's a giant spider. It will fucking kill them, and it will also keep the character she gives it to. I think it was Euro. She gives it to Euro. It'll keep him alive while keeping the spider at bay. The spider then kills the widow. Yer returns to the group to reveal the location of the Black Fortress. As he speaks, he loses the last sands of the hourglass, and then he dies. Really, really cool. Like I said, this is like a D&D or a Pathfinder game that's just amazing, right? So then the group captures and rides a magical fire horse, and they ride them to get to the Black Fortress. Slayers at the fortress kill one of the other characters. I think it was Run. And Ryle, the Cyclops, who can see the time of his own death. Yeah, apparently all Cyclops can see when they're going to die. It's the curse they have. He sacrifices himself, holding open the door for the rest of the group, and then gets squished. Right? They get into the Black Fortress because of him. So they make their way through the fortress. One of the one of the Slayers is about to kill the old the seer guy's apprentice who's taking over. But one of the other characters transforms into a tiger and knocks that shit right out the window. Right? Trapped inside a water, but then they kind of like fall down into like a dome between walls, and they're stuck there. And of course, there's studded spikes that come out and they kill one of the characters. They breach through the dome. Colin finds Lisa. He attacks the beast with a glaive. That five that mall ninja throwing star. Which I swear to God I've seen something that looks like it at a fucking gas station. But he throws the glaive and it flies to the air and then right into the beast's chest, right? Like gets embedded in. And like it gets stuck there. Well, now they've got nothing to defend themselves with, so like they're vulnerable. But the princess and Colin finish their wedding ritual. Gives them the power to manipulate fire. I know, it's weird. They get the power to manipulate fire, which Colin then uses to slay the beast. And the beast frees everyone else that's been captured. They rejoin Cal and Lisa and I think Ergo and Twitch or Titch. The survivors make their way out of the crumbling fortress, which is pulled into space. And then the heroes return home, and the narrator repeats the prophecy that the son of the queen and king shall rule the galaxy. It was a toilet fire of a movie. It really, really was. Like, it was one of those movies that was god awful, but in the best of ways. God damn, I have made no progress on this fucking cigar. I'm gonna be smoking this for quite a while. But no, those are the base synopsis of an idiot rambling of two movies I love so fucking much. Like one of the other movies I love though, and I'm gonna have to look it up because it is something specially bad. Like it is such a horrible movie that I love it, and I shouldn't love it as much as I do. So give me 1 second to look it up. And it's called Dark Star, and it came out in '75, and it is a comedy that spoofs on. I mean, hell, it was co-written by John Carpenter and Dan O'Brien. They just put out really awesomely terrible movies in all the best ways. You know. Okay. So in the distant future, there is a spaceship that flies through space. It's a deteriorating spaceship. It's like in the mid 22nd century. Mankind has begun to colonize interstellar space, armed with artificially intelligent thermostellar triggering devices, which can talk and reason. The scout ship Dark Star reaches it searches for like unstable planets that might threaten future colonization, like planets that will fall apart or explode, or fling out to space. All right, so like they're like 20 years into their mission, right? But the crew only ages like 5 years. I think like 3 or 5 years, right? The Dark Star has aged and suffers frequent malfunctions. Most systems don't work properly. It's like a shit box. It's like my car. It's a shit box, but they love it. The commanding officer has died because he was electrocuted by his chair, like his captain's chair's malfunction, and fried him. But remains like they have him in cryogenic suspension, like cryofreeze. So he's alive, but he's not dead. He's not dead, but he's not alive. The lieutenant, a former surfer from Malibu, and this is very important to his character. He's a former surfer from Malibu, has taken over as commander. And he says that the tedium of their work, right? Doolittle, that's his name. Lieutenant Doolittle. And he does very little. It says that like his coworkers, Pinback, Boiler, third one, I can't remember that. I think it was like Tabby or Talby. Was it Tabby or Talby? Talby, has driven them around the bend. So they've created distractions for themselves. Pinback plays practical jokes, maintains a video diary, and has adopted the ship's mascot in the form of a mischievous beach ball like alien who refuses to stay in the storage room. Yeah, he keeps it as a pet, and it doesn't stay where he wants it, so it wanders and gets in trouble occasionally. Well, at one point, the little beach ball alien breaks out of the storage room where they keep it, and being mischievous and an alien, at some point it starts attacking the crew. Not like doing anything, but it like tries to push Pinback down an elevator shaft. Well, they accidentally kill it. They shoot it with a tranquilizer gun, which pops the alien like a freaking balloon. Like, but yeah, like they pop it and they're like, oh, this must be air, and they go on about this for like several scenes throughout the movie where they talk about the thing just being air. And then at some point, Pinbook claims to be someone named Bill Frong. It says that Pinback committed suicide prior to the mission, and he inadvertently took his place. En route to the next target, though, and I think like I can't remember if it was the Veil Nebula or it was in some nebula. Dark Star is hit by electromagnetic energy during a space storm because plot demands action, and so like resulting in another onboard malfunction. And at one point, they're talking about, oh, great, this is just like the time the ship jettisoned all the toilet paper because that's a thing that happened. All their toilet paper out of space. It's it's like I said, it is a funny movie. It is a stupid movie. All right. So because of the malfunction, one of their big ass planet destroying bombs, which look like shipping containers, probably are, erroneously deploys. Right. Like, but it's ordered to deploy, but the ship's computer, talks it back into the bomb bay, which it reluctantly does because artificial intelligence. Subsequently, Pinback's alien activates the bomb circuits while it was loose from the storage room. We don't know this until after it dies, right? Causing bomb number, the bomb, I think number 13, I think, to again emerge from the bomb bay, and once again, the computer is able to talk the bomb back into the bomb bay. And again, it does it reluctantly. But again, this time it warns them this is the last time. An accident with a laser while a ship's crew pursuing a real bomb causes mayhem, seriously damaging the ship's computer. And damages the bomb dropping mechanism. So we can't let go of the bomb, right? Yeah, and it ends up becoming stuck in the bomb bay while counting down. Doolittle does a spacewalk out to the have a philosophical conversation with the fucking bomb to suspend its countdown for the moment. Ponder, it agrees to ponder Doolittle's ideas, right? Right. So the bomb is now contemplating life. Doolittle is trying to get back into the ship. Pinback opens the airlock to admit Doolittle back in, but accidentally ejects Talby, who was in the airlock at the time, attempting to repair the laser. Doolittle uses his rocket pack to go after Talby, who is in space, but has a no maneuvering device, which allows him to stay alive. Meanwhile, the bomb, which is contemplating life, has discovered the Cartesian doubt, a very weird philosophy in life. Trust only itself, and is convinced that only it exists, hence Cartesian doubt. Which, if you don't know what Cartesian doubt is, it's a tool of philosophy in which you doubt everything around you, only you exist, everything else is input and can be fake, right? So now that it has time to think and it has discovered Cartesian doubt and is convinced that only it exists in the universe, it determines that its sole purpose in life is to explode. And it does it. It blows up. But it's sitting there and it's like in the beginning there was lightness and there was dark. I am light, and then boom, it explodes. Right? So it explodes. The Dark Star is fucking destroyed because this is a bomb capable of destroying planets. So it blows up the Dark Star, right? Kenbuck and Boiler, that's his name. Kenbuck and Boiler are, gone. Talby and Doolittle are at a safe enough distance to be thrown clear. The former drifts off, drifts off, and is taken away by some asteroids, which is like a traveling. Like I think they were like the Phoenix asteroids, which was like a yeah, it's like a traveling cluster. He had been fascinated with. Doolittle is falling towards the unstable planet they were supposed to blow up. Finds an oblong hunk of debris and surfs into the atmosphere and dies as a shooting star. Like burns up an injury. Like I said, god awful movie, but it's funny as shit. Like I don't remember how long it was. I think it was like hour and a half, so like 90 minutes. But I know it had Brian Miller, Dan O'Brien, John Sanders, Barbara Cookie. I know Dan O'Brien did the voices for the bombs, which is funny, hilarious. And oddly enough, Nick Castile did the voice of the alien. And he doesn't have any dialogue, he just makes noises, but it's funny as shit. Like, it is one of these movies, like, even the special effects are fucking special. Like, it's just special. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will talk about another movie. Because I'm in a movie kind of mood. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Okay, we're back. Now, I really don't know what I want to do. I know that, excuse me, indigestion. Indigestion is terrible. Now, I know that the last stream we did, I put together that workbench. And I was going to put together that stool, but there was no hardware in the box. So go figure. However, I got the workbench together and I've been using it. And I love it. But the stool showed up yesterday and I finally put it together and I love it. And this time it did come with a hardware to put it together. And it's a good stool. Comfortable. It's tall enough to where I can work on my bench and be good. But yeah. I mean, the fuck? Hold on. I'm getting a weird message on the laptop. It's decided to be weird. I don't want to hear about it. Okay. Well, got that cleared up. No, it's just I think it's funny that how do I put it? It's just Dark Star came out in '75. It was a wonderful parody of Aliens and of Alien in all the best ways, and Star Trek, and it came from all those wonderful, horrible parody movies that came out. We had Ice Pirates, which I loved in '84. You had Kroll, which came out in '83. I mean, there are so many terrible movies out there that are absolute gold, like absolute gold. And it's a shame that more people aren't willing to watch them. Like Idiocracy, that's one of my favorite movies, and yet some would call that a terrible movie. I consider it a fucking fantastic movie that shows where we're heading as a people, as a species. Who knew? But then you have movies like Spaceballs, which are timeless parodies of Star Wars. Like Mel Brooks went to fucking George Lucas, and asked if he could do Spaceballs, and George Lucas was like, "Yes," on the grounds that you do no merchandise, and he was cool with it. Mel Brooks was like, "Awesome, we'll do that. No merchandise, great." Which is why there's that scene making fun of George Lucas, who when he negotiated for Star Trek or Star Wars, and he got it, he didn't take that big of a cut from the box office, but instead kept merchandising rights. And he made a ton of money off of all the Star Wars merchandise, book bags, lunch boxes, toys, books, all of that, clothing, costumes. Like George Lucas kept the merchandising rights when he originally went to Fox and negotiated Star Trek or Star Wars. Right? So when Mel Brooks learned that, the only condition was he could do merchandise, he put a scene in that movie where they make fun of the Star Wars merchandise. Lone Star, the hero, well, he's more like an anti-hero, but he is the protagonist. They run across a character called Yogurt, a very Yoda-looking character, right? And of course, asks him, "What are you doing here?" And he goes, "Merchandise, merchandising, merchandising." All about the merchandise, talking about Spaceballs, the breakfast cereal, Spaceballs, the lunchbox, Spaceballs, the flamethrower, Spaceballs, the little yogurt doll. It's like the kids love this one. Made of Schwartz, be with you. It's such an obvious parody movie that it's amazingly wonderful. I mean, I love bad parody movies. I love Ice Pirates. I love Kroll. I love Spaceballs. I love Dark Star. I mean, a good parody is a good parody, regardless of how you look at it, you know? And that's the magic of a good movie. A good movie is always a wonderful parody. I mean, there are so many good parodies. Like Mel, Mel Brooks has so many good ones. Spaceballs, Robin Hood, History of the World Part One. The TV show History of the World Part Two is all right, but I mean, he just rips on so many things that's hilarious. Of course, speaking of movies, there is this one movie. I cannot remember what it's called to save the life of me. I just remember it's about a pre-human evolved ape, I guess, like a proto-human. It's like one of the ancestors that led to humanity. I don't remember what it was, but it's this ape-like creature traveling across Africa, slowly learning as it goes, and it eventually makes it to the ocean, right? Like I remember watching it once as a kid at my stepmom's house, and I remember my dad walked in and he's like, "What are you watching?" I went, "Oh, one of your videos from when you were a kid." He laughed. My stepmom laughed. I just wish I could remember what that movie was called. And I don't remember very much of it. I just remember the premise that it walks across Africa. At some point, eats fermented fruit and gets drunk, and then eventually makes its way to the ocean. And it learns that ocean water is salty. I think that's where the movie ends. Of course, there's also that movie, Caveman, which I love that movie. It's such a stupid movie. I love it. And God, all right, hold on. I have to look up who was in Caveman because again, that was such a good movie that I almost feel like it was underappreciated at the time. How do I split screen? There you go. Yeah. Yeah. Here we Caveman. Came out in 1981. It's a slapstick comedy film written and directed by Carl Gerblett and stars Ringo Starr, from the Beatles. I think he was a drummer for the Beatles. Dennis Quaid, Shelley Long, and Barbara Bach. Okay. So the plot of Caveman is a Took is a bullied and scrawny cave living 1 zillion BC, October 9th. Very important, it's October 9th. He lusts after the beautiful but shallow Lana, who's the maid, Tanta, the leader of the tribe, who's physically imposing, like he's really big and buff. And he's a imposing leader, and he's a brutish instigator. Him and Lar, Atuk and Lar, they get banished. And they fall in with a band of, they gather a band of assorted misfits along the way. Hala, Tala, and this utterly blind man named Gog. The group have ongoing encounters with hungry dinosaurs that rescue Lar from a nearby ice age. And it's a nearby ice age. They call it a nearby ice age, where they encounter abominable snowmen. And in the course of the adventures, they discover sedative drugs and fire. They invent cooking, music, and weapons. And they learn how to walk upright. Atok uses these advantages to lead an attack on Tonda, overthrowing him and becoming the tribe's new leader. He rejects the shallow Lana and takes Tala as his mate. And they will all live happily ever after. It is such a stupid movie. Like, there's a scene where they find a giant egg, like an egg the size of a house. And you see them carrying it, and they go down a hill and into a ravine like a half pipe, and they can't get up. And they go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and finally they drop the egg, and it falls in a thermal geyser and cooks, and it makes the world's biggest over easy egg. It's hilarious, right? Or they pick up a little person who they at one point they go looking for it. He dipped out to go to the bathroom, and they can't find him. And then they start messing around in what they think is mud that stinks. And the little person comes out and tells them they're playing with Kaka, Coop. And yeah, they throw him in it. The scene where they discover fire and cooking is really funny because what ends up happening is they discover fire and fucking I just said his name, I can't remember. Uh Honda. Tonda leads the raid on them because they're a rival group. He wants what they have, blah blah blah, and they use fire to fight them off. Well, one of Tonda's little henchmen gets his butt lit on fire, like his butt is on fire, and as he's running, he's farting and sets a fire coming off of his ass because he's farting, and it's funny. Or at one point later on in that scene, they get a bird and they're arguing over the bird and they end up cooking it over the fire and discovering it tastes way better. And then later in that scene, they discover music, which is funny. So they discover fire and it works out well. And they cook and they light some dude's ass on fire and he farts all the way back to where they're going. Where at one point they're being chased by a Tyrannosaurus, which is the same Tyrannosaurus that's chased them a couple times in the movie. And so what ends up happening is they are on a cliff and they're trying to defend themselves and they stuff this bush in this Tyrannosaurus' mouth and it eats the bush and gets really high and falls asleep. Gets drowsy, drunk, high, stoned, inebriated, whatever you want to say, and falls off the cliff and ends up laying there like high, like it doesn't give a shit. It's funny. Like it's one of those movies that's so fucking stupid. It's fucking magical. And I love stupid movies. I love stupid bad movies. Like the dumber it is, the more I'll watch it. And this is kind of how you know I hate myself because I have a secret love for the movie Monos and the Hands of Fate. Like it is a horrible movie. Like Monos and the Hands of Fate is so bad. It is the worst movie ever. Like, it was so bad when they ripped on it in Mystery Science Theater, right? Like the bad guys from Mystery Science Theater were apologizing to the good guys for making them watch this movie. Excuse me, I need to do a little maintenance on my stick. It's not burning ain't quite evenly. Oh, okay. The story behind Monos and the Hands of Fate is how do I put it? It started as a bet between a fertilizer salesman and someone else that anyone could write a fucking movie, right? So it's a it's like a no, like, low budget. This is no budget. There was no fucking budget for this movie, right? It was written and produced by Harold P. Warren. Stars Tom Nealman, John Reynolds, Dylan Marr, and Warren himself. It follows, the premises is that the movie follows like a family that gets lost on vacation on a road trip through Texas desert of West Texas. And they get lost at a cult's compound, and there's a master who decides people's fate. Right now, the backstory on this, and this part's about the guy who wrote it. Warren was an insurance and fertilizer salesman in El Paso. He made a bet with a screenwriter he met. I think he made the bet with someone named Sterling Silfant about anyone can make a movie. You know, like something about anyone can make a movie. And he did. He made a movie. Anyone can make a movie. Good movie is a whole different thing, but he made a movie with a cast and crew that had little or no background in filmmaking, right? Like literally no background at all. And this movie was so fucking awful that even the 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 debut was so poorly received. Like not a lot of theaters carried it. Only like one theater in El Paso and some drive-ins in West Texas and New Mexico even ever carried it, right? And it remained an obscurity until 1993. And I remember watching this on TV as a child in 93 when Science Theater 3000 did a show on it. And it's built because of that show, Monos in the Hands of Fate, or Mangoes in the Cans of Fruit, depending you ask, has developed a cult reputation as the worst movie made, right? Like, it is rated as one of the worst, if not the worst movie ever made. Oh. Like, people have criticized it. The film has been criticized a lot because it's a really bad film. There are horrible, horrible deficiencies in editing. The synchronization between audio and video is just horrible. There's bad pacing, bad acting, several inexplicit and scenes that are just randomly in the movie that aren't connected to anything. Like in anything. Like there's a couple repeatedly shown kissing in a car for no reason. Like these two people making out have nothing to do with the movie. Like they're never explained. The characters don't have shit to do with it. They're just making out in a car a couple times. Or like the the polygamous cult. It's like a polygamous cult because this dude called the Master has like a bunch of wives, and they occasionally break into cat fights. And it's not even like good acting for a cat fight. Go figure. Terrible movie, no real acting. But like they break into cat fights for no fucking reason at all. Like if it wasn't for Mystery Science Theater 3000, the movie never would have gotten a DVD release at all. Like the original work print, on 16 millimeter film, was discovered in California in 2011, which they then remastered and released on Blu-ray in 2015. I have a copy. I love that fucking movie. It's so stupid. I love it. It's hard to watch because of how bad it is, but I love the fucking movie, right? And somebody made a fucking prequel. And, it's The Rise of Torgo, who I'll get to in a minute, which is a sequel, which is a prequel. And then there's a sequel, Monos Returns, which apparently came out in 2018. Like, this is such a horrible fucking movie that I love it. And I'm glad it came back and it got a revival because it was such a shitty movie, right? So, the plot of the movie, right, is there's a family on vacation, right? And they're near El Paso. And there's an urban legend that this movie was so bad that El Paso will claim that it wasn't shot in El Paso, but was shot in Alamogordo. And that Alamogordo will sit there and say, no, that was shot in El Paso. That has nothing to do with us. Like, there's an urban legend that that movie was so bad that neither one of those cities wants anything to do with it. Like, they will not admit to having it filmed. Is this true? I don't know. It's an urban legend. But, anyways, while on vacation, the mom, the dad, their daughter, who's real little, and their dog drive through the desert in search of a place called the Valley Lodge. The wife insists they're lost. The dad says they're not. And they're stopped by a local deputy for a broken tail light. And realize because, Michael asked him for mercy on their first vacation after long shots of them driving through farmland in the desert. There's a bunch of stupid cutscenes of unidentified teens making out in a car and being caught by the deputies. That there's no explanation for why the teens were making out in the car, but they are. They're just making out, and they get caught, by a cop, and then it cuts back to the family, right? Reaching a house, a random house, to which this weird, like, stire, goat-legged person named Torgo, the caretaker, while Master is away. Mind you, the guy who played Torgo was fucked on acid the entire time they filmed this, right? And he talks in a really weird way. The character does because like, the master is away, and they ask him for directions to the Valley Lodge, which Torgo denies knowing. Frustrated, the dad asks Torgo to let him and his family stay the night, despite objections from both Torgo and the wife. The wife even didn't want to stay. So at the house, the dad, the wife find a disturbing painting of the master, and it is a stupid looking painting. And a dark, malevolent looking man and a black dog with glowing eyes. This ominous owl frightens the mom, and the dog runs away from the little girl. And the dad goes out with a flashlight and a revolver that he gets from the car, but they don't really show him getting the car. And they find the dog laying dead on the ground. Michael buries the dog in the desert and goes back to the house. Torgo reveals that his sudden attraction to Margaret, the mom, and he's got the hots for the mom, right? And he wants to keep her, defying the master's desire to marry her. The mom threatens to tell Michael, the dad, of Torgo's advances, but Torgo convinces her not to say anything by promising to protect her. Dad returns and is unable to start the car. Forgo then tells them there's no phone in the house and the family is reluctant to decide to stay the night. I'm not gonna read the whole description, but the other wives, this is where the cat fight breaks out. They're fighting whether or not the wife should become a new wife or should just be sacrificed, turns into a cat fight. And they're tumbling around. They're wrestling and rolling in the dirt. The master returns, breaks up the fight, and he decides to sacrifice Torgo and his first wife instead. Meanwhile, the dad wakes up, unties himself. They never really show how he got tied up. Goes back to the house, collects his wife and daughter. Finally, the family leaves the house and runs off into the desert to escape. The master gets the Torgo, hypnotizes him, orders his wives to kill him. Two of the wives attack Torgo, and he falls to the ground, apparently dead. However, he regains consciousness and stands up. The master severs Torgo's left hand and burns it. And Torgo runs off into the darkness with the stump of a wrist in the flames. Master sacrifices his first wife. As the family runs to the desert, the wife falls, says she can't go any further. A rattlesnake fucking appears in front of them. Michael shoots at attracting the attention of the deputies, who assumed the noise came from Mexico and leave it at that. The wife convinces them to go back to the house, as Colt would never think to look for them there. They go back, find the master's dog away, and the master slowly goes towards them. The dad shoots the master, and nothing fucking happens. The film ends to another pair of travelers who are traveling. Two women starting their vacation and driving through the rainstorm, reaching the house for shelter in the rain, and they encounter Michael, greets them by telling them, I take care of the place while the master is away. And unfortunately, the wife and young daughter become wives to the master and are asleep. Terrible fucking movie. Like, the guy who played Torgo, John Reynolds, was so high on acid for most of the film, he's almost incoherent. Like, they had to redub his lines. It's a good stick, but it's a long burn stick. I don't think I'm going to finish it before the end of stream. But yeah, Monos in the Hands of Fate. That is such a terrible movie. And yet I love that movie. I love that movie so fucking much for how bad it is. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. I'm going to sit here and smoke, take a drink, and we'll be back in a couple minutes. I really hope those commercials are playing the way I set them up. Should be one break every 30 minutes. If not, who knows? Excuse me. It is a cold and wet, rainy day. Commercials should be over. Commercials should be over. It is a cold and wet, rainy day today. It's like 60 outside and raining heavily. Like, I'm glad I brought my umbrella and it kind of rained. Like, I'm glad I brought my umbrella. And for those that want to really know, my umbrella? I don't care about bad luck. But it's kiwi. It's a slice of kiwi. That is what my umbrella was. I don't know how that's relevant to anything, but now you know what my umbrella looks like. It's a slice of a kiwi slice, and I like it. And I got it from a friend. A friend gave me this umbrella, and I'm like, oh man. So, what what terrible movies do y'all like? Like, terrible movies are one thing. You know, they're something special. A terrible movie is always a good movie to those that love it, no matter how bad it is. You know, and I'm not saying I love every terrible movie that I've ever watched. No, quite the opposite. I hated this one movie called, I think it was Lilyhammer, and it was just a bunch of hipsters complaining about life. And it was slow and it was boring, and I think it was worse than Monos in the Hands of Fate. Because Monos in the Hands of Fate has novelty for how bad it is. Lilyhammer had no redeeming qualities, and I don't even know how that movie ended. And I've never looked it up because I walked out of that theater because it was so fucking boring. Like, the pacing was terrible. And it's a bunch of hipsters complaining about shit. And at one point, some dudes like cooking little smoky cocktail weenies, and there's a whole conversation about someone who's never had them, and it's like, really, that's fucking stupid. Or at one point, this guy and a girl go on a trip to El Paso, on a road trip to El Paso for whatever reason, and then he gets sick at the restaurant after eating at this nasty fucking restaurant. And she says, "Oh, I was the one that was supposed to get sick." Meanwhile, he's rigged up a little whiskey dispenser in his car, like it's so fucking clever. And it's like, no, it's just a small little actuator pump on a switch in a reservoir. Like, come on. Like, him and the other main character at some point were building a flamethrower because he wanted to be like Lord Humongous from fucking Mad Max 2. And it's like, no, that's it was such a stupid movie. I walked out of it. I have no idea how it ends. And I have no interest in how it ends. I could easily look up how it ends. But that movie was so fucking boring and so fucking horrible that I walked out. And yet there's people that say The Sound of Freedom is a terrible movie. Yet I love that movie. That was such a good movie. It was so hard to watch, but it was so fucking good. And yet there's people that don't like it. And then there was that movie Netflix put out, Cuties, and everyone got upset about it. But there's a scene in the trailer, and I've not seen Cuties. I have no interest in those kinds of movies. Movies with little kids annoy me. I don't like children. I love my god kids. I hate everyone else's kids, kind of a thing. But there's a scene where they're trying to twerk, but it pans to the crowd. The crowd looks how I felt, mortified and disgusted. Apparently, it's these kids learn to overcome adversity, and they learn that doing what is trendy isn't always the best. But I don't know. I've never actually seen it. You know what? Let's look up the plot for that stupid movie because it spurred such venomous hatred. Now I need to know, how did it end? Movie. Okay. Let's yeah, let's look it up. Cuties. Wikipedia. Came out 2020. It was a French drama. Production, initial release, marketing. Marketing was a failure of a release. U.S. response, people did not like it. Critical response, it wasn't very popular. It won some awards. Where's the plot? U.S. response. Sorry, the Wikipedia article doesn't have anything about the plot. Initial release. Marketing, Netflix release, that was featured. Initial release, he won some awards like Sundance, Cannes. Cast. Plot. An 11-year-old girl from Senegal lives with her mother, Miriam, and two younger brothers, one of them named Ishmael, in an apartment in one of Paris's poorest neighborhoods. Arranged by her she is angered by her polygamous father, who is pretending to return with a second who is preparing to return with a second wife. She is also bored with Islamic culture and that her aunt seeks to impose on her. Amy is fascinated by her disobedient neighbor and Angelica's preteen twerking clip. Fixing the letter. She is fascinated by her um, disobedient neighbor Angelica's preteen twerking clip. The cuties, which is in stark contrast to Miriam's Muslim customs. They do not hesitate to adopt revealing outfits against their older rivals, Sweetie Swags. In their quest for online recognition, decides to incorporate suggestive dancing moves in the choreography after getting pants. I don't know that word for fighting with Sweetie Swag. She steals her cousin's phone and sends a photo. Wow, no, this is horrible. She is ostracized for that. Wow, that's disgusting. I really hope they didn't show that. I I've I really hope they didn't show that in the movie because she sends a picture of her stuff down there, which I I really hope they didn't put that in the fucking movie. She did that to look mature, backfiring heavily with her being ostracized, causing a rift between her and the rest of the group. She'd kick her out, replaced with her former member Yasmin. His mother also confronts her for committing such indecency. She and her aunt tried performing an exorcism on Amy, but failed. While the father's wedding day corresponds with the finals, she determines to dance with him, sneaks out of the house. She pushes Yasmin into a canal, so they have no choice to allow her to dance. The highly suggestive dance routine polarizes the audience. Suddenly thinking about her mother during the routine, she bursts into tears and leaves before the performance ends. Upon her return, she returns to her aunt, who blames her for her outfit and recent attitude. Her mother's intervention by telling her to leave her daughter alone, then hugs her to release and reassure her. The aunt implores the mother not to allow her to attend the wedding in order to demonstrate her disapproval. The mother permits her not to go, but states that if she herself must go to fulfill her duty as a wife. In the end, Amy abandons both traditional wedding dress and the provocative living normal youth. I don't like how that read. I don't like how that movie sounds. Like, I understand the girl learns that, following trends is bad and that having a sense of decency in self is good. But I think they went a little too far with her doing what she did. Which I'm not going to read because that's fucking disgusting. No one should do that. No one. That's terrible. Yeah, no. Like, if I had any curiosity about this movie, reading the plot has just destroyed that curiosity. Like, this is a horrible fucking plot. She got pantsed at one point. And I'm not a fan of this plot. Like, this sounds fucking terrible. Uh, Prior to its release on Netflix, it had not been deemed controversial when it was screened at Sundance and released in France. Well, France has different moral values. Uh, but when it hit the US, yeah, sexualizing 11-year-old girls, that's wrong. Don't do that. Don't sexualize children. That's nasty. If you sexualize children, you should go through a wood chipper feet first. Different from those to promote the film at its original release in France. There was a petition, yeah. Apparently, QAnon on social media also criticized the film, and there was a petition that got over 600,000 signatures. 4chan didn't like it. QAnon didn't like it. Yeah, it had a hashtag Netflix pedophilia on Twitter. My God, this. Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, this was a terrible fucking movie, and whoever put it on Netflix should probably be taken out back and dealt with. This plot's fucking terrible. Like the plot on on Wikipedia is 3 paragraphs, and I'm appalled by this. This is fucking disgusting. Who the fuck thought this was a good movie? I mean, this is a shitty fucking movie. I want nothing to do with it. Wow, that is disgusting. Cuties is an absolutely disgusting sounding movie. Like, it wasn't Lilyhammer. Lilyhammer wasn't the name of that movie that I was thinking of. What was the name of that movie? Hipster movie? Bellflower. Bellflower's the one I walked out on. Probably because it takes place in Bellflower, California, I imagine. Okay. Like, it had a cool looking poster, and, big explosion, a song called Medusa, Like, it had, like, a giant explosion in the hills of California and a black souped up Nova that said Medusa on the side, and I figured it was going to be a cool movie. Nope, I was wrong. Like, I was so wrong. I'm not even gonna apologize for how wrong I was for that movie. Uh, it wasn't even like a no, it wasn't a Nova. It was like it was a Buick Skylark. It was like a 72, 73 Skylark that they had in the movie that they called Medusa. And it was just such a stupid fucking movie. It really was. It was a terrible movie. I walked out of it. It's boring. And that's the worst part is when a movie is fucking boring. If a movie is boring, it is unforgivable for a movie to be boring. Well, it is time to call it a day. So, once again, thank you for watching. If you're watching this on YouTube after I upload it, thank you. And if you are watching on Twitch, which nobody is, go figure, don't care. Thank you for watching. And as always, on Twitch, I will never ask you for the subscriptions on Twitch. I will never ask you to buy merch on Twitch. I'll never ask you to do any of that on Twitch. All I ask on Twitch is you drop a follow if you like it. If you like this, drop a follow. Following is free. Following good for you. So, drop a follow. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you like it, hit that thumbs up button. And if you like what you see, consider dropping a subscription, subscriber button, hitting that subscriber button on YouTube, but only on YouTube, not on Twitch. Twitch, that costs money. YouTube, free. Do the free option. Other than that, I love y'all and I'll see y'all later. Bye.